You're listening to UCW Radio. In your face.
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
You know what I mean?
Money to be made in a place like this.
Money never sleeps, pal.
You're crazy. Don't run when you lose. Don't whine when it hurts.
You know what it takes to sell real estate?
It takes brass.
I've fallen, and I can't get up!
All right, welcome back to Money Never Sleeps. This is the show where we touch on anything and everything that impacts the flow of money from around the corner to around the world. And first off, happy Columbus Day for our listeners in the United States, and happy Thanksgiving to our Canadian listeners. This week, I'm going to be touching on a number of topics and companies. Over the coming weeks, I am planning on bringing on guests that are in the private equity, real estate, both high-end residential and commercial real estate, developments, commodity, cannabis. Yeah, I said cannabis as it's big business now. And I'm also going to bring on some traders to get their insight on things, on what's going on out there, because I think it's important that we do this. And also we want to touch on startups. We want to put a spotlight on startups, and I think it's important to do that as well, because we want to bring on some startup CEOs on the show that that have a vision for the future, and we want to see what that vision may be with their products that they're bringing to the table, because again, we're in flux right now, and a lot of growth is happening. A lot of things are transpiring. So we want to try to get that in for you. Now, Fiat Chrysler, that merger actually went into effect yesterday, October 12th, and it was finalized. And they began trading today on the New York Stock Exchange. Now, the company was rolled into a new Netherlands corporation, and that's really interesting. And there are a lot of reasons for that. I'm sure a lot of people are asking why did that happen, and how are they trading on the New York. Look, especially when it comes to importing materials, the Netherlands, it's an extremely strategic location in Europe, not only for shipping but for creating underlying subsidiaries for a company to allow them to lower their tax burden, so they can actually create a subsidiary in another country with lower tax implications, which allows these companies to avoid getting taxed to death. It's not them avoiding paying taxes, but to avoid them getting taxed to death. And this is something that I'm going to touch on in the coming weeks as well, because I think it's important, because a lot of people, they look at a company like Apple and they see, that they have a lot of their money overseas, and they're wondering, why don't they bring it here? Why doesn't the government just have leniency and let them bring the money here to create jobs and so on and so forth? And there are a lot of underlying reasons for that not happening yet. I don't want to go into it now, because that would be like a half-hour discussion, but I will touch on it next week, because it's pretty interesting. Now, Fiat Chrysler, what they did, they joined the likes of other major corporations who have either their main company or their subsidiary incorporated in the Netherlands, such as Cisco, Mead Johnson, Nike, Google, Starbucks, Tesla Motors, Facebook, Booking.com, and there's a whole list of others that actually do this. And it's smart. The reason that I point all this out is that, without a doubt, one of the smartest things that they did in order to allow them, and I'm talking about, Fiat Chrysler, to allow them to transport throughout Europe, and avoiding the constant tariffs that come into play. And there are. If you ship to France, you're going to have a different tax or tariff implication than you would if you shipped somewhere else. And every time you ship to another European country, you're getting taxed. So if you ship to the Netherlands, you already paid the lowest tariffs in the European Union. and you get huge tax breaks when shipping to other European nations. Anyhow, it's only one benefit of a whole host of others that are in place in the Netherlands that we will touch on in the coming weeks and months, because it is really, really interesting, and we want to get some input from some accounting firms that actually do this for corporations. So we're going to bring them on to speak about this. Now, let me just add that the Rotterdam port, that is the major port in Europe, and as we speak, they're adding to this port, which is going to make it even more of an integral port in doing business in Europe. Okay, where there's oil, you're transporting items from anywhere in the world, this becomes a hub, and it's going to be really interesting. Now, you're going to see a lot more information coming out about this, I'm sure, in the future, but we're going to be speaking about it on this show. And some of the brands, just in case you didn't know, which are wrapped up in Fiat Chrysler, include, of course, Fiat and Chrysler, but also Ferrari and Maserati. So when you see those fierce luxury monsters on the road, then you're going to know it's a Fiat Chrysler. It kind of takes the steam out of it. You're driving a Ferrari, say, hey, you're driving a Chrysler. That's kind of it's kind of one of those things. But anyway, this is a great segue into Tesla Motors. Now, I really like what Tesla's founder, the guru of tech, some even call him the real-life Tony Stark, the Iron Man, if you will, which he very may well be the real-life Iron Man, the real-life Tony Stark. But I like what he's doing. Elon Musk is a visionary. There's no doubt about it. No one can dispute that. And he's not looking at things quarter to quarter. He's not looking at the next quarter, but what he's doing, he's looking at the future for all mankind. And that's a powerful statement, the future for all mankind. Now, that's a wild thought, isn't it? But if you look throughout history, and I don't know if any of you watch the History Channel or history buffs, but if you look throughout history, the most impactful people are the ones that become iconic. These are the ones that try to change the world for the better, and they have. We see it all around us on a daily basis. And trust me, Elon Musk is etching his name in that granite slab alongside with all the iconic names from Da Vinci to Newton to Washington on down the line. So doing some good in the world is way beyond dollars and pound sterlings. It's about forging the future, which is what Elon Musk is doing. Now that I touted Elon Musk just about enough for this show, Tesla, they unveiled a Tesla D, and it showcased an upgraded all-wheel drive with a dual motor system that gives it kick. This is the power behind the car, and this is what consumers were looking for. It's the sports car of sports cars, or electric sports cars, with a price tag of well over $100,000 US, and it may right now be out of reach for the average Joe. But still, it's one step in the right direction, one step closer to producing something that can be, mainstream, that can actually be in the hands of just about anyone. Investors weren't thrilled, but then investors are looking quarter to quarter, or month to month, and some are day to day. They weren't thrilled with the unveiling. However, Musk doesn't produce products to boost the stock. I mean, this is one guy that said his stock was too high. Like, who does that? His stock is too high. But he produces products that will evolve. And I'm extremely sure that this will evolve over time into a more affordable vehicle. And look, I can't give short-term insight on the ups or downs of stock prices itself, but long-term, as I feel with Amazon and Facebook and Google, long-term, they all are going to be winners, as they will be leaders in industry. Now, I'm not just talking about the tech industry. I'm just talking about industry in general, beyond technology. And watch. The writing's on the wall where everything's going to go, and it's going to be an interesting ride. And I just need to add this, which I found to be very interesting. One of the high-end sports car companies that are jumping into the electric vehicle game, and this, I mean, I couldn't believe it, but hopefully it happens and it really gets on the road, because it would be really interesting. Believe it or not, it is Lamborghini. Yep. Lambos, electric Lambos on the road. And they're looking to launch their first ever, or it's the company's first ever plug-in hybrid. They unveiled it at the 2014 Paris Motor Show. And this is very interesting. I think this is going to be of interest to some of you guys out there. It's said that the car can travel as far as the Chevy Volt in electric mode. As far as the Volt. So, Lamborghini, Volt. Yeah, you go with the Lambo on that one, if you can swing it. Now, if this is true, why are we not embracing this technology more? And that's a big thing. And I think this is what Elon Musk is pushing for, not only Tesla to embrace it and do something with it, but for other companies to do that. And I think this is what's going to wind up happening. We're just not seeing it in the bright daylight yet, but trust me, behind the scenes, it's happening. Elon Musk made it easy for companies like Exxon, Citgo, other gas companies to implement electric stations at their current gas pump stations. So let's see what 2015 brings and beyond, because I think it's going to be an interesting transformation as more and more people start utilizing these electric vehicles and more companies start producing them. Now, on that note, what we're going to do is take a quick break, and we're going to be right back on Money Never Sleeps. So stick with us as we're going to touch on gold, oil, 3D technology, and a few other things. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is Chef Gavin Murphy with your 1-minute healthy cooking tip. A lot of people are more health conscious nowadays, especially when it comes to food. But did you know there are a lot of hidden calories in, of all things, salad dressing? They're chock full of added sugars. But don't fret, I've got you covered. Try this quick and delicious salad dressing recipe. Grab a small Tupperware container with a lid and add a 1/4 cup of balsamic vinegar, 2 tablespoons of whole grain or Dijon mustard, a teaspoon of organic honey, pinch of salt and pepper, and 3/4 cup of olive oil. Pop the lid on and give it a good old shake. This is spot on for a beautiful summer salad and will keep in the fridge for weeks. For more healthy cooking tips and info, go to gavinmurphy.com.
Hi, my name is Peter May of London Central Properties, and we're based in Cavendish Square, which is close to Regent's Park. The majority of my work experience has been in sales, in particular the hotel and hospitality industry, both in the UK and overseas. London Central Properties is an established company with a global presence and a high reputation for service and discretion. We specialise in the sale of high-value, off-market apartments, houses, hotels and investments. We have recently opened a new division specialising in the provision of service departments which cover the full spectrum from budget to exclusive. These apartments are suitable for both leisure and corporate clients and are located in the key areas of London, including Mayfair, Knightsbridge, Kensington and Bayswater. For further information, please refer to our website, which is www.londoncentralproperties.com. We have now established an exclusive partnership with the host of Money Never Sleeps, Mr. Louis Velazquez.
Hi, everyone. John and Pete Najarian here at the NASDAQ with some news you do not want to miss.
As option floor traders, CNBC contributors, and co-founders of OptionMonster.com, people always want to know our secrets for trading the options.
So we wrote an entire book on it. And today, to celebrate the book launch, we're giving away a limited number of these books for free. All you have to do is cover shipping and handling.
Learn how you can use options like we do to make more income with less capital.
To reduce your investment risks.
And to make money regardless of which way the market's moving.
It's all right here in this book, and today we're giving it away to you for free.
Equity options today are hailed as one of the most successful financial products to be introduced in modern times. You have to learn to profit from them.
This one book could dramatically increase your investment returns.
And today, it's free.
So pick up that phone and call now.
Call 1-800-961-1923 for your free book. That's 1-800-961-1923. Call now.
All right, welcome back to Money Never Sleeps. Now I want to talk about 3D technology. I've always been a big advocate of all types of tech, especially this type of technology, as I see this as definitely being the future for fabrication of parts for cars, parts for homes, where they, like plumbing and things of that nature, airplanes even. Okay, you can fabricate the seats or maybe even engine parts if you can do it properly. They're even working on using 3D printing in the medical industry to fabricate artificial hearts and other organs, and that's really, really, really interesting, because if they're able to do this and match the artificial heart or lungs or other organs to the specific patient that needs it, then donors, and then donors, you don't have to sit and wait on a donor list. You can actually get the part that you need. Kind of like you go into Jiffy Lube or Pep Boys and you're looking for that part for your car, that type of thing. So, very interesting. I'm sure that it's not far off that they're going to be able to actually have functional 3D printing of body parts. Now that's going to be interesting, and they should. This is something that you saw in Johnny Depp's movie Transcendence. Hey, they already created lifelike artificial skin, and they created, muscle out of fishing line and other components that are 100 times stronger than what we have in our bodies right now naturally. So yeah, so why not? I think it's going to happen. I really do think it's going to happen. You're going to have someone that's going to figure it out. A lot of smart people out there, and they're going to do it. I've always said that if they can create something in a movie studio, chances are that they will be able to create it in the real world. And we've seen it before, and we will see it again. And look, in the end, if you can dream it, you can do it. If you can do it, it's going to get done. And this is how the world goes around. And this is what's going to wind up happening at some point. Now, I want to switch gears to talk about commodities right now. We're switching out of the tech. We're going into commodities, more specifically gold and oil. Now, there's been a guessing game as it relates to where both gold and oil are going. And I just want to chime in with my thoughts. Let's start with gold. Okay, there's a ton of skepticism that gold will go to 2,000 or 2,500 per ounce, and that's per troy ounce. And they are basing this on the weakness of this and the lacking of that. Now, what is this or that? Who knows? In reality, unless there are some serious geopolitical impact on global currency, there is not going to be a mass run to find shelter in gold. So let's get that out of the way. I was trading gold in the $300 and $500 range, where it wasn't cost effective for mining companies to extract it from the ground. They were just breaking even at that point. Now at over $12.20 per troy ounce, and yes, let me just make this clear: a troy ounce is much different than the ounce that we use daily. A troy ounce allows for one universal measurement for metals. And anyhow, I just wanted to throw that in. Anyhow, at over 1220 per troy ounce, I still think it has some room to come in. And look, do I see it going to the $1,000 to maybe $1,100 range? Yeah, I see it going in that range per troy ounce. Before you see, are we going to see an upside? Yeah, I think before you see any upside, any tremendous upside at this point, that you're going to see it, kind of, come in and then glide up a bit. But I really don't think that we're going to see the $2,000 range that all the optimists think that we're going to see. I think over time that we may see 1,500, maybe. And that all depends on what happens geopolitically, what's happening with the strength of the currencies. Okay, so we don't know what's going to happen, especially with digital currencies coming into play, like Bitcoin and things of that nature. It's going to make it really interesting moving forward, so we'll see what happens. And yeah, I know a lot of you gold lovers out there are rolling your eyes or blasting me at this point, but unless you can bring hardcore facts to the table, and not just a hunch or a gut feeling to the table, then what I've said is what I'm sticking to for the foreseeable future. Now, look, I've been, and let me just share this with you, I've been to the jungle to extract gold. I've been to major, gold refineries to smelt and stamp gold. Shoot, I'm an alumni of the GIA. And I've been around this so much that I should have a solid gold plaque on my desk. So I do have an idea of what I'm talking about. And again, these are my opinions. You can come to your own conclusions. That's your prerogative. Look, I think it's very important that anyone, I don't care if you're investing in commodities, stocks, this, that, do your due diligence, be an informed investor, be well informed moving forward. I don't care what you do, even if you're investing in real estate, if you're investing in a business, be well informed and do your due diligence, because I do think that is important. Now, let's touch on oil. There are so many views and opinions on this topic, but in the end, what will impact the price of oil? What's going to impact it? Well, I think it's going to, plain and simple, it's going to be technology. The less dependent countries become on oil as being their prime energy source and move over to, the likes of solar, wind, hydro, the less demand will be for oil and the less the price will be as a result. It's common sense. It's pretty simple. In theory anyway, right? The major oil companies are not interested in this happening because it doesn't help their piggybacks, doesn't help their pocketbooks. But in reality, look, if they were really, forward thinkers and they were really smart, they would be investing in technology just the way GE does. And I love GE because they invest in things that people don't even think about, but they do it to buck the trend that will be coming. They're forward thinkers, they're visionaries. And they try to get there and it's contributing to the future of humanity. And I say this because, look, it's human nature, to actually try to go to the next level and progress, and I think that the oil companies, once they begin to see this, that maybe they're going to start looking at the future. Once you see that a person can achieve something, this is human nature. There's something inside of us that lets us know that, hey, we can do it too. And if we can do it, then for those select few that think that they can achieve more, well, those guys usually, or girls, usually they do it, and they do it, and they put their minds to it, and they put their minds to the test, and they come up with some amazing things. So I'm certain that we will see this technology being developed by startups, and I'm sure these startups, as they develop this technology, they'll be taken over by one of the big boys in time, and then that's how the wheel goes round. But in the meanwhile, oil is still very important. And there is significant oil in the United States, significant. And like this oil can be tapped into, you hear about fracking and dacking and this and all this other stuff. You have actual oil that is in the United States that can be tapped into. And I know this because there's a little known company that has begun to do it. And I plan on speaking more in depth about this company in the coming weeks, as the company right now is restructuring, so I really can't get into it. I want to bring somebody on here to speak about it. They're looking to restructure. They are restructuring the company to take advantage of the assets that lay right beneath their feet. So I want to bring them on because I think it's going to be an interesting topic for our listeners and just for the oil industry. It's going to be really interesting. So, just stay tuned for that. I'm trying to make those arrangements. I don't want to make arrangements now. I didn't want to bring them on now because they're in their restructuring mode. So we have some lines that we cannot cross. So what you can do is, just give me some thoughts. I mean, I love hearing from listeners. I love hearing, feedback on the show, feedback from the show, feedback on certain topics. I give my thoughts on the direction of like in this case, on the direction of oil. And I'm going to give it to you right now. But I also want to hear from our listeners. I want to hear from you and for you to let me know what you feel, what your thoughts are, because everyone has an opinion. I'm not the end-all. I'm not the expert of experts, but I do have my opinion, and that's what I do on this show. So my opinion, and as far as the direction of oil, well, here it is. I see oil having a range between $80 and $100 for the foreseeable future. And, and that takes a lot of things into account. And the only thing that I see that will impact it over that range is some crisis in the Middle East or some technology hitting the market that doesn't involve oil, and that technology is coming. You can trust me on that one. So, So just, I always look for feedback from our listeners, especially on these topics, because everyone has an opinion. So, share with me. You can feel free to do so. So on that note, what we have to do is take another quick break, and we will be right back on Money Never Sleeps. So stick with us as we are going to touch on the Society of American Business Editors and Writers, a.k.a. SABU, and CNBC Squawk Alley and Mark Cuban and a few other things. So stick with us. We're going to be right back with you on Money Never Sleeps.
Millionaire business mogul Marcus Lemonis is the prophet. In 2 seasons, he's invested over $7 million of his own money to save struggling businesses.
If you want to be successful in business, there's only 3 things I want you to focus on: people, process, and product. Determine if you have the right people and if you're motivating them and managing them the right way. Look at your process and determine, is it streamlined? Is it efficient? Can you get better? And look at your product. Because even if your product is good today, I don't want to find out that it's obsolete tomorrow. The best advice I can give a business owner today is to know their numbers. To not have a solid understanding of how much you make, how much you sell, and how much inventory you have is a crime. To not understand how to make decisions based on numbers is a big mistake. Too often business owners are making decisions based on their gut. As you look at your financial statement on a monthly basis or even a weekly basis, it's the roadmap to success.
Hi, my name is Peter May of London Central Properties, and we're based in Cavendish Square, which is close to Regent's Park. The majority of my work experience has been in sales, in particular the hotel and hospitality industry, both in the UK and overseas. London Central Properties is an established company with a global presence and a high reputation for service and discretion. We specialise in the sale of high-value, off-market apartments, houses, hotels and investments. We have recently opened a new division specializing in the provision of service departments which cover the full spectrum from budget to exclusive. These apartments are suitable for both leisure and corporate clients and are located in the key areas of London, including Mayfair, Knightsbridge, Kensington and Bayswater. For further information, please refer to our website, which is www.londoncentralproperties.com. We have now established an exclusive partnership with the host of Money Never Sleeps, Mr. Louis Velazquez.
All right, welcome back to Money Never Sleeps, and I want to thank the Society of American Business Editors and Writers for their recent conference in New York last week. It was really interesting. You had some really great speakers, such as Bob Sullivan, great guy. Had a chance to meet him. He gave some great insight that was well received by the financial journalists that were there. And you didn't just have journalists that were just stateside, you had international journalists in attendance, and that's what made it even more intriguing. And they weren't, you didn't just have regional, you had national, you had international journalists there. I did get a lot from this panel, and I want you to make sure to check out his latest focus called The Restless Project. He touched on it, and I just want to touch on it as well. And what it does is it encompasses the economic anxiety, and the technology disruption that are impacting U.S. families. And he's doing this, and it's on a person-by-person basis. So this is an ongoing project that'll probably last for years if he keeps doing it this way, but he does a fantastic job. And you can follow him on Twitter at Red Tape Crone, or Cron. Red Tape Cron, or is it Crone? I don't know. But I'm going to say Cron. So that's Red Tape Cron on Twitter. His name is Bob Sullivan. Check him out because he's one guy that you do want to follow. Others that gave some really great insight and had the minds working in the room, they had them working overtime, were Blake Ellis of CNN Money, Amanda Gengler of Money Magazine, Kelly Grant of CNBC, Daniel Morrison of the University of Alabama. Yep, he was pushing Bama. Tim Mullaney of TheStreet.com, Greg McBride of Bankrate.com, and you had Joe Ryan of Newsday, Charlie Wells of the Wall Street Journal. You had the awesome Laura Young of Reuters and Mandy Woodruff of Yahoo Finance. You also had Experian in the house too. You had Michelle Ranieri from Experian. She spoke there. So just a lot of interesting people that gave a lot of interesting insight to what's going on out there and how to tackle, some parts of journalism. Really interesting. They also made some great contributions to the panels and even gave me a thought or two. Definitely looking forward to having some of these great minds on Money Never Sleeps in the near future. And let me not forget the president and CEO of the National Endowment for Financial Education, Ted Beck. Great work, Ted. You did a fantastic job. I know you're doing this all over the world, so it's really, all over the country. I'm not sure of all over the world. If not, I'm sure you're going to do that. But just great work. And all great journalists that they all contributed a ton. And all these great journalists that I mentioned, and all the ones that'll be mentioned in the future weeks and months and years, they contribute a ton to the next generation of financial journalists that may be coming out of institutions such as the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism. Man, you have to see this facility. I mean, honestly, you walk in, if you have any interest in journalism, walk into this facility. And it's high tech to the max. Even if you're a techie, you're going to love going there. They have everything that you can need to become something special in the industry. So yeah, definitely check out CUNY, the Graduate School of Journalism, if you're interested in journalism. I've been tweeting, and this is something I've been tweeting about over the past few months, and everyone knows it. First, it has to do with CNBC. Since we're on the topic of financial journalism, but CNBC. I was tweeting that they should have a dedicated show solely for the technology arena, which they now have, featuring John Fort, Carl Quintanilla, and Kayla Tausche. Now they have this thing going on, which is fantastic, and that was the first step. My next Twitter input is CNBC, they really need to have a truly tech-driven set. Something that will draw the attention of the tech community, as well as the financial community, as opposed to it just being a financial set with a tech name. So I'm hoping that CNBC viewers, I'm hoping for you guys, for everyone, for anyone that watches the show, that this happens, as it'll give a new dimension to the show. And the show is called Squawk Alley, which airs Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. sharp. And you can follow them, all of them, John, Carl, Kayla, on Twitter, and Squawk Alley as well on Twitter, and get the latest from Squawk Alley, find out what's going on, and just get yourself in tune to it, because if you have a love of technology, between that and Recode, you're going to get your fill. When you're looking at the business end of it, and then you're looking at the other end of it, you're going to get your fill. There's no doubt about it. And just staying on the CNBC topic for another couple of minutes, with the extreme volatility in motion and tons of confusion as to where the market's going and what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and should you make a left or right, do this, do that. The one thing that I will say that what you need to do is be well informed. So do yourself a favor and set your DVRs to tape or record. There's no tapes there, but you're going to record 3 CNBC shows. The first one is the Halftime Report, and that's with Scott Watner. They have Pete Najarian on there, Mike Murphy, Steve Weiss, and they rotate, but you have the rest of the round table there, and just some great insight from some really, really, really top-shelf traders that'll give you ideas that you can actually, build on. And that's what it's about, taking the ideas and building on it. And you have Fast Money, which is you have the same lineup as with the Halftime Report. And then you have Mad Money with Jim Cramer. Now, Jim Cramer has been doing this for some time. I remember when he first started. And the guy has, his mission is to educate and inform his viewers. And as what I try to do here is inform people and give you information. And hopefully some of this information is of value. So you want to check out these 3 shows. And, and they put stuff in layman's terms so you can get it. Not all this technical mumbo jumbo. They'll get to the bottom line so you can get an idea and keep yourself informed during these turbulent times in the markets, both domestic and internationally. Okay, so now I want to touch on something which is really interesting. This has kind of been developing over the past couple days. It has to do with the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, cast member of the popular show Shark Tank, and just one shrewd businessman. He has no fear of speaking his mind in any way, shape, or form. That man is Mark Cuban. I love this guy. He hustles, he does what he needs to do, and he says what's on his mind without any regrets. Recently, he brought to light a topic that most universities see as taboo, and that is the topic of student loans. His view, which I actually agree with, is that if the government caps the amount of money that a student can borrow per year, that this may spark the higher-end universities from continuing to raise their tuition fees while not budging on paying their professors more, and they're doing all this stuff. It's just funny, but, where's that tuition money going, really? If you see these universities, they get heavy donations from their wealthy alumni, and then they build more and more facilities for this, for that, for the other thing. Prime examples in New York City, and I have to call them out, is you have NYU and Columbia University. NYU, they're taking control of everything in the West Village and beyond, and they're doing all that stuff. And then you have Columbia University, which is expanding uptown. They have Manhattanville. They have all this property that they're building, they're acquiring, they're doing so many different things, and they receive hefty donations. They have hefty tuitions, and they get tons of help from the city and state to acquire land to build more structures. And still those tuition rates keep escalating, and if a student doesn't have a wealthy family or a sugar daddy or a sugar mama, it's time to get a loan. So they get the loan. And by the time they finish school, they're in heavy debt. And that's the reality. Sure, they got the education. Hopefully they'll land a great job, and hopefully the university will help them land a job. But even if that occurs, they are behind the 8 ball from day one. So I'm sure there's a better way to do this, to go about all this. I'm not the expert here. I don't know. And neither is Cuban, for that matter. However, just bringing attention to the matter may spark some interest in some really smart people to come up with a solution. And then, that's not good enough. You have to actually go that extra step. Now, you get these smart people that come up with a solution, then you're going to need some really passionate people to fight for it. Yeah, it's not going to come that easy. You'd think that the universities want to, prevent money from coming in their pocket. No. This is going to have to be a battle line is going to have to be crossed for this one, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I guess we'll see. But when those people, when those people come to light, I'll definitely give them time on Money Never Sleeps to lay it on us and let us know, what their thoughts are, and give us some concrete facts on what's going on, because basically, kids are our future. And if we're not molding them and giving them the right direction to go, how are we helping them? For a kid to be in horrendous debt from the time they graduate school, and they have their back against the wall, and they have to get a job, and they're living with their parents well beyond their college years because they're forced to, it makes it difficult. You have universities out there that have a low tuition that allow kids to get, allow these students to get a good education. Okay, now, why is that difficult, in other parts of the country, especially in New York and in California? Why is that? Or New York and Connecticut, for that matter. I guess, this stuff will be explored. Again, I'm no expert. I just, call it like I see it, and that's what I do here on Money Never Sleeps. All right, on that note, we have to take another quick break, and we will be right back on Money Never Sleeps, so stick with us as we're going to touch on commercial real estate and a couple other little things that we're gonna touch on. So stay with us. We're going to be right back with you on Money Never Sleeps.
A second person in the United States has now tested positive for the Ebola virus. Texas health officials said preliminary results were positive for a healthcare worker who provided hospital care for Thomas Eric Duncan, the Ebola patient who died last week. If the diagnosis is confirmed, it would be the first known case of the disease being contracted or transmitted in the United States.
While this is obviously bad news, it is not news that should bring about panic.
A statement posted on the Texas Department of State Health Services website said confirmatory testing will be conducted by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta. Officials said the healthcare worker reported a low-grade fever Friday night and was isolated and referred for testing.
This healthcare worker had been under the self-monitoring regimen prescribed by the CDC, and based on involvement in caring for the patient Thomas Eric Duncan during his care that started on September 28th. Now, individuals who are being monitored are required to take their temperatures twice daily, and as a result of that process, the caregiver notified the hospital of imminent arrival and was immediately admitted to the hospital's isolation room.
Preliminary test results were received late Saturday. Hospital and state health officials did not identify the healthcare worker. They have interviewed the patient and are identifying any contacts or potential exposures. Kelly Daschle, Associated Press.
Police in Washington state say an actress known for her roles in August Osage County, Frozen River and Django Unchained is missing. 32-year-old Misty Upham hasn't been heard from or seen for the past week. Her father, who filed a missing persons report on Monday, said she has a medical condition that has the family concerned. Penelope Cruz has been named Esquire's Sexiest Woman Alive. Cruz is the 11th woman to be given the title by the magazine. Previous honorees include Angelina Jolie, Halle Berry, Rihanna, Charlize Theron and Scarlett Johansson. 4 new films couldn't catch up with Gone Girl at theatres this weekend. The thriller raked in $26.8 million and kept the box office top spot according to studio estimates. Dracula Untold opened in second place with $23.4 million. This is Hilary Fox with AP Showbiz Minute.
Hi everyone, John and Pete Najarian here at the NASDAQ with some news you do not want to miss.
As option floor traders, CNBC contributors, and co-founders of OptionMonster.com, people always want to know our secrets for trading the options.
So we wrote an entire book on it. And today, to celebrate the book launch, we're giving away a limited number of these books for free. All you have to do is cover shipping and handling.
Learn how you can use options like we do to make more income with less capital.
To reduce your investment risks.
And to make money regardless of which way the market's moving.
It's all right here in this book, and today we're giving it away to you for free.
Equity options today are hailed as one of the most successful financial products to be introduced in modern times. You have to learn to profit from them.
This one book could dramatically increase your investment returns.
And today, it's free.
So pick up that phone and call now.
Call 1-800-961-1923 for your free book. That's 1-800-961-1923. Call now.
All right, welcome back to the show, and now let's get into commercial real estate. And this is a topic that I can talk about for hours and hours and hours and hours, but I'm not going to do that today. But I do want to touch on what's going on out there. There's a resurgence, and there has been, of development, and it's not specific to New York City or Miami or LA. It's actually global. And there are a number of condo developers looking to build the next luxury tower for the jet setters, the billionaires of the world, while others that are solely focused on building rental units, because there's a big market for that, because not everyone has the money to own. And while yet another group, well, they're looking to build true commercial projects that create jobs. And that last one, I'm pretty passionate about, and actually I'm most passionate about, and that's because it doesn't matter how many condo or rental developments you build. If jobs are not created, then where is the growth? It's not there. And this is what has impacted the growth of the United States over the years as we move from being a manufacturing country to a service country. And with the service not being that great, I'll tell you that much, it has hindered our growth. So when you have true commercial developments that are slated to be developed anywhere, whether it be New York City, LA, Miami, Detroit, anywhere in the U.S., in the United States, it's a plus for our economy. It's a plus for the town's economy, the city's economy, and the U.S. economy as a whole. Especially, look, when they're building these developments, you have tax incentives that usually follow in line with these new developments. Because that's what the developers need. They need the tax incentives to attract the corporations, for the major corporations to come in. So these tax incentives are in place. It allows for major corporations to take advantage of these incentives, thus creating jobs on a large scale. Okay, it's not rocket science at all. If you have the jobs in an area, you have the residents. If you have the residents, then you will need housing. And this is what helps the residential developers to flourish. So we need more commercial developments that will create jobs. Period. The end. If you look downtown, the Wall Street area, the financial district, as they call it right now, FIDI, you have a lot of office buildings that have been, converted or repositioned into condo and rental units. A lot of them. So, we need more jobs to be created, and the only way you're going to create jobs is by having somewhere where jobs can be positioned. Okay, period, the end. And, we're not talking about, only creating construction jobs, because any development is going to create construction jobs, but also be attractive to corporations to relocate to a certain area. Again, this relocation does a lot for a town or city, as it can spark more companies to relocate and probably have other companies to develop offices in that town or city as that town or city starts to boom. And everything trickles down if done the right way. And I think this is definitely what should be done. I know that there are a multitude of residential agents right now that are barking, and because they're pushing for the residential developments and so on and so forth. But come on, reality check, people. Unless you provide concrete facts that show developing more luxury residential buildings add to the economy of a town or city above developing commercial properties to attract major corporations, thus creating more jobs, then you have to look at the bigger picture. If you're not looking at the bigger picture, you're looking at what you're going to do today as opposed to the tomorrow. How are you going to grow your real estate business if you don't have any business to go to, if you don't have any buyers coming in to buy these residential units? This is not going to last forever. So they, the reality is, building these commercial developments helps. It really does help. The more jobs, then the more people. The more people, then the more they'll need housing. And that is the boom that a residential agent or broker wants. Not a slowdown to a big halt, which could happen if things keep going, the way they're going. But I'm hopeful that commercial development is going to increase. And, and that's something I'm a big advocate and I'm pushing for. Part of what is sparking growth in these residential developments are private equity. And this is my segue into this. You have a lot of private equity that's involved in real estate all over the world. Yes, indeedy do. We're not going to get into this in depth today because there's so much to get into with this that I don't want to get into it because it'll last, it'll be a whole hour show within itself. But there are a number of private equity firms, even hedge funds, that are able to offer, and REITs as well, they're able to offer foreign investors something pretty special. In the USA, it's called an SB5, and it goes by other codes in other countries, but it gives an investor the ability to gain citizenship through such investments. There's more entailed to it, but that's the gist of it. This is a hot topic that we hope to be touching on next week, if not the week after, as this is not specific to the real estate industry, people. It impacts the film and entertainment industry as well. So it's pretty interesting and kind of scary at the same time, but it's alive and well. I really want to get into that. So when you see these those big investments that are going into, let's say, even luxury residential units, and it's by a foreign investor, chances are that there's an SB5 involved in some way. anyhow, we will be bringing on an expert in that arena on the show so that we can tackle the facts on that, on the SB5 and its actual impact, good and bad. I'm looking to tackle it all, if possible, as much as we can during that segment. Remember that anyone that has any questions in regards to commercial real estate, they can feel free to contact me on Twitter, or they can go to ucwmagazine.com and they can contact me via the website. I try to get back to everyone, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. I get a lot of inquiries, but rest assured, if you reach out to me, I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. And I primarily work with off-market commercial and high-end luxury properties all over the world. Being a managing director of London Central Properties and a part of Coldwell Banker in the United States, it allows me to be an asset to my clients, both buyers and sellers, and the insight of the markets from New York City to London and beyond has allowed me to present projects and solutions that work. And that's why I'm passionate about what I do. Sharing my knowledge with my team, Money Never Sleeps listeners, and readers of CurbStreet.com and Seeking Alpha and a few others, as well as my own blog, is great. I love it. And I appreciate all the support that everyone continues to give the show, my writings, throughout the years. And I plan on doing this for many more years. So look, we're gonna stay on this ride for as long as possible. And I'm going to keep sharing my thoughts and everything with you guys because I think it's important and I enjoy it. And I get asked more often than not, believe it or not, why isn't the show on terrestrial radio? At one point it was, and the reason being for it not being there now is the content that we put on this show is for our listeners. It's for you. I do this for you because I want to share as much as I can with you. And modifying my style of doing the show to include advertisements or the clock that provides, that provides me, or actually it doesn't provide me, it kind of keeps me away from doing what works for me. And it would force me to limit my guests and limit the commentary, and probably not even get to this point of speaking about this, and I have to be careful about what I say. I'll probably lose a step in the process, so having Money Never Sleeps, as well as all of my shows distributed digitally, works best for the show and our listeners. And before I close out the show, just for full disclosure, the companies that I speak about, I am not invested in. If I was invested in anything, that would be disclosed, but I'm not invested in any of those companies. So I just need to, give you full disclosure there. And anyway, with that said, it's time to close out the show for this week. I want to remind our listeners, if you have any suggestions for a guest, topics, or content, feel free to contact me. Don't be shy. Contact me. Let me know. I want you to be a part of the show, not just to be a listener, just be a part of the show. Make it yours. You can reach me on ucwmagazine.com or on Twitter, as I said, or the social media outlets under my name. And yes, I know that I don't have a little blue check on my Twitter account yet, but I'm sure that that's coming soon. And who knows, how they work. I don't know. I don't even know how to go about doing it. But you will know it's me. Just ask, and I'll let you know. And that's about it. So I want to thank you again for tuning in to Money Never Sleeps, and look forward to being with you next week as we tackle the cannabis industry. It's going to be interesting and much, much more. Until then, have yourself a very profitable week.
Initiating shutdown sequence.
You're listening to UCW Radio in your face.
What is your major malfunction?
So let it be written. So let it be done.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.